Here's the big breaking story. Major management rejig at software company Tata Consultancy Services. Rajesh Gopinathan has resigned as the CEO and MD with effect from 15th of September 2023. K Krithivasan, the president and global head of TCS BFSI division, has been appointed as the new CEO and MD who will take over in the next financial year. For more on this, we are now joined by Shireen Bhan, our managing editor. Shireen, a sudden change, breaking news this at the helm of one of the biggest companies in the country. How do you think the markets are likely to respond to this landmark change at the top leadership?
Well, we do have market experts joining us, Ashmit, who will comment on what the markets will make of this move. But there is absolutely no question about the fact that this is a surprise. This is a sudden move. I don't think anyone was expecting or anticipating that there was likely to be a change at the top at TCS. Remember, Rajesh Gopinathan has been at the helm of affairs for the last 6 years now. As he points out himself in his statement, under his watch, TCS has added about $10 billion in market capitalization $10 billion in incremental revenue. There was no indication at this point in time that there was any likelihood of a change, but that's the nature of this business. We are given to understand from at least the press release that's been put out by both the company as well as Rajesh Gopinathan's statement. He says in that he wishes to pursue other interests, and he thought that this was the right time for him to make that change and make that departure. And so he will be with TCS till September and then hand over charge to his successor. It's interesting, it is an internal candidate, as was the case with Rajesh Gopinathan when he took over from N. Chandrasekaran, who took over as the chief of Tata Sons. Rajesh Gopinathan's successor joined TCS almost in 1989, so he's got a long history with the company, long association with the company. He's currently the head of global business at TCS. Let me hand it over to Rima now to understand how the markets are likely to read this development. Rima?
Thank you very much, Shireen. As you pointed out, this is sudden, surprising, and it's a stunning exit because Rajesh just last year, in March of 2022, was reappointed as the CEO and MD, and he had 4 more years to complete his term. His term was going to end in February of 2027, so 4 more years. This is coming as a surprise. He's got age on his side, but he stepped down right at the beginning of his second term. Secondly, I just want to talk a little bit more about K Krithivasan. Now, as you pointed out, he's been in the system for 34 years. He joined in 1989, and his current designation reads the global head of BFSI. And previously, he's also held leadership role in delivery, customer relationships. So he's been an old hand of TCS, 34 years in the system. Clearly, this is a very amicable, exit because he's going to stay on. Rajesh is going to stay on till September of 2023. He's handhold and help in the transition of the new CEO, and he's going to be pursuing other interests. But, from a market point of view, this has come in as a sudden and a big surprise, and it's a big blow. Rajesh has been the face of the channel. It's a turbulent time for IT companies as they're navigating a slowdown in global growth. So it's a tough time generally for IT companies right now. There is slowdown pressures. So, at such a time, to lose a person like Rajesh Gopinathan is indeed going to come in as a big blow, and the markets are going to take some time to digest this news. And also remember that NGS, who's the CEO of the company, would also be closer to retirement, given what the age is. So it's Rajesh right now, but who knows? A couple of years down the line, it could even be NGS, just given what the age situation is. But this is going to be tough news for the markets to digest, because Rajesh is the big face of TCS, and these are turbulent times, volatile, difficult times for the IT industry. Ashmit, Shri?
Yes. Yeah, these are difficult times. I think we have Prakash with us. Prakash, thanks very much for joining us. Your first reaction, as we've been pointing out, this is very sudden. There was no indication, as Rima pointed out. Rajesh was reappointed just last year. What do you make of this development?
No, it's Shirin. So it's definitely, absolutely a shocker. Actually, there was no anticipation, no buzz, no indications that there would be a need to look at any transitory kind of developments. But I think interestingly, what I can rationalize this as is possibly the kind of musical chairs that got underway. I know it's not the right term to explain what's happening, but the way the CEO level or the CXO level shuffles that are happening in some of the largest of businesses after especially consolidation, and a lot of the businesses getting very homogeneous in nature. So moving from one to the other organization has also been possible fairly easily for people to transit and without seamlessly and without damaging the business potential. That probably has made things far easier, and from that perspective, this can always happen. But the good thing is that in these 22 years and the 6 years that Mr. Gopinathan has been the CEO, he's also, I'm sure, continued with the Tata legacy of making sure that the organization is first and the systems and all of are so strongly in place. I don't see any reason why the transition will not be smooth. And given the fact that he's been gracious enough to be around for 6 months from here on. So, yeah, that is going to be a respite. Fortunately, the market, while it does get surprised and there could be a reaction tomorrow, it may also start, giving it a little bit of a chance of sorts for the transition to be smoother and amicable, as Rima very rightly said, being the key word here. And that might not damage the business interest. But times are tough. Any damage will just get amplified. Yeah.
Yeah, times are tough. Omkar with us as well. Omkar, many thanks for joining us. As Prakash was also echoing, this has come not just as a surprise, but as a shocker as well, given the fact that Rajesh was reappointed only last year. What do you make of this development, and how do you believe the markets are likely to read it?
I mean, the market is definitely going to be under pressure for the tomorrow's stock, as Rajesh Gopinathan was a keen person to lead the TCS and making the super execution company and with a top-notch corporate governance. But I believe there will be no fundamental change, as K Krithivasan sir is being there is with the company from 1989, and he was still BFSI head and is now joining. So he has a prominent the hold on the business vertical. I does not believe that there will be any fundamental change with the change in the leaderships going ahead. But however, yes, definitely, I mean, the sentimental based trading may impact negatively on the stock for the tomorrow or for the next few days going ahead.
Yeah, I think, Prakash, and I'll get Rima to weigh in on that as well. As we've been pointing out, this is a difficult period. It continues to be an uncertain time, especially as far as technology companies are concerned. And Rima, in terms of navigating this turbulence, in a way, the transition will be made easier, considering that there is an insider that takes up the job from Rajesh Gopinathan. He's well aware of how the business has functioned. He's also been part of the changes that Rajesh has brought in the way that TCS was reorganized. So he's on board with that. But even in terms of if we were to do a comparison between the performance that we've seen for the likes of Infosys and others, etc., I don't know whether this is going to mean any kind of a change in terms of strategy or direction as far as the company is concerned. Rima, your thoughts?
For starters, TCS is a very well-oiled machine. So while even when Rajesh was appointed as the CEO, because erstwhile he was the CFO of the company, and when he took charge of as the CEO and MD, even at that time, questions were raised, right? Is he up to the job? Because he's a finance guy. Will he be able to crack the deals? Will he be able to go right out there and, get the work? Which is what a CEO and MD needs to do. And look what a great job he's done over the last 6 years. So TCS is a very well-oiled machine. And Krithi Srinivasan is the head of the largest vertical for BFSI. I may not get the exact numbers right, but for TCS, BFSI contributes well over 30%. of their revenue. So in that sense, and while we are in the media, we've not managed to interact too much with Krithi, but I do understand from a few people that he's around when it comes to cracking deals with enterprises and clients and customers. So customers are very well aware of Krithi, and he is in the limelight when it comes to the customer-facing side. It's just that he's not amongst the 4 people we end up interviewing every quarter, which is typically Rajesh, CEO, COO, CFO, and HR head. So it's, for us, it may be a new phase, but I do understand that he is very much involved in the decision making, and it's BFSI, the largest vertical for TCS. And TCS is a well-oiled machine. I think all hands will be on the deck to make sure that the transition is extremely smooth. So not too sure if there's going to be any change in strategy. But just, from another point about, from a market point of view and a reaction, very recently Infosys got punished when 2 presidents quit their role. And president is not the CEO and MD. One of the presidents of Infosys, and president in the Infosys hierarchy is just second to the CEO. One of the presidents had quit to join as the CEO of Cognizant, and the other one recently, Milind Doshi, joined as the CEO of Tech Mahindra, and Infosys stock was punished because it is still a big, void to fill. So why in this case, the difference between the two, while TCS may be punished tomorrow because of the uncertainty and how the transition is going to take place, and will he be up to the job? These are big shoes to fill. Bear in mind that there is no uncertainty in terms of leadership. They have announced who the next CEO is going to be. He's going to be given a good 6 months with hand-holding from the existing management from Rajesh. So there is going to be no uncertainty, no big void to fill. So in that sense, market may be able to get over it. So I'm just, wanted to point out the difference between Infosys. So what happened with Infy and TCS?
No, you're making very valid points, and let me get Prakash to weigh in on that. Prakash, to Rima's point, look, when N. Chandrasekharan took over as the Tata chief and Rajesh Gopinathan succeeded him, there were questions on big shoes to fill. And so, Rajesh ably steered the company to where it is today. So in that sense, here you have, as Rima pointed out, a man who's been looking after one of the largest revenue contributors to TCS, taking over from Rajesh. So, maybe there is a temporary disruption as far as market sentiment is concerned. But broadly, given the fact that this is an insider leading the BFSI space, which is the big contributor for TCS, has been driving client engagement, etc. How do you see this playing out in the medium term?
So yeah, that's a valid point to look at. Contend with, will the market give, tomorrow probably the market will have a reaction as we are all anticipating, which could be negatively impacting the stock. But does that offer an opportunity to long-term players, long-term investors to look at the business as an investment? And yes, in the medium term, it certainly does, Shireen, because what Rima said, absolutely, I echo that. You have a person who is not coming from an external environment, is somebody who understands the organization, and that makes continuity absolutely non-negotiable in this case. And the client-facing roles that most of these players play, and he's been in Ireland, he's been with the company in a lot of the critical hubs that they operate out of, also gives you the comfort. Gives the company the ability to give comfort to clients about continuity. One is the actual continuity of the business, and the other is the perception around it. And in this case, both of those get managed very well. And as I said earlier, the Tata legacy is to put the organization first and foremost. And that has always been, there have been heroes in Tata companies which you kind of relate to all the time or associate business growth with. They've, of course, contributed fantastically, but I think the transition is going to be much smoother than what you expect. BFSI is the area of concern, the challenge in these days. We've seen how Tech Mahindra is focusing back on BFSI to get its act together. So every company is likely to use BFSI as the pivot to transition into a bigger, formidable business. And that's where this will probably also help. So I don't have any doubts about the transition. And as I said, Mr. Gopinathan is around for 6 months for, smoothing out whatever rough edges you would have.
Absolutely. A smooth transition is what is expected. And as we've been pointing out, Chandra's shoes were large when Rajesh had to step into them. And here you have an insider who's worked with N. Chandrasekharan as well as Rajesh Gopinathan, leading one of the largest verticals as far as TCS is concerned, taking over from Rajesh Gopinathan in September. He is CEO designate starting the 16th of March. But always a pleasure, Prakash. Thanks so much for joining us here to take us through your thoughts on this big breaking development this evening. Rima, thanks very much indeed. Ashmit, back to you.
Right, Shireen, thanks a lot for taking us through that big